Hi again, guys. Thanks for clicking play. It's still the same day as the day I did the Paper Boy episode, so it's the 16th of November. Still got the croaky voice, as you can hear, but I feel like doing another video, so I'm going to do it, and you'll understand why, because I've been tinkering this afternoon whilst binge watching other YouTube videos in the background. But what can I say? The medicine is working. I'm feeling a lot better this afternoon. And what I want to show you is a video I'd had planned, so I'd already done some background work on it. But as you'll see, it's the kind of stuff that you have to do when you're in the mood to do it. So trust me on this. That's why I'm doing it now, because I'm in the mood. I've made some progress today, and I just want to finish off a piece that I'm working on. Okay. Bit of background. So this is similar to the video I did on BBC Basic on the emulator for the BBC Micro / Acorn Electron. Don't be put off if you've watched that one. This one is slightly more interesting than that. So I went on, back in the day, obviously moved on from the Acorn Electron to the Plus 3, which I'm using through emulation today, using Spectaculator as always. And I didn't really program that much on the Spectrum until towards the end of my Spectrum life, if I can put it that way. And I must have just been inspired and gone, do you know what? I'm going to learn how to make games. Now, don't get excited. I never learned how to make games. Never went to that level. But what I would have done was go into the manual and learn some more basic than I ever knew from back in the day. And so in the Spectrum Basic, I got into using some of the draw commands. Now, I do remember I was a bit confused as to how long it takes to draw even the simplest of shapes, and thought, surely this isn't applicable to games. And I do remember combining it with the in-key statement, I think it is, and to make it move, so to draw a rectangle that represented a cart and to make it move depending on what key you press, and it was redrawing the rectangle with every move, and that's when I kind of went, this is not how you make games, and I never went any further than that. But I did mess about with the draw commands, so the draw commands and the plot commands, so that's what I want to quickly show you now. And what I did towards the end of my ownership of the Spectrum was I actually, because I'd already long got bored of some of the discs that I got with the Plus 3, would you believe I actually overwrote them with my own programs because I didn't want to use that particular disc anymore. I think it was the one with Maelstrom and all that stuff on it, and I can't believe I did that. But what I did to hand over the Spectrum to my brother's friend who bought the Plus 3 off me was I actually wrote a welcome disc. Now what this welcome disc did, and I'm only going to show you part of this today, is it drew a car in the side elevation. Somebody's doing it, but it's Australia. People do burnouts. Just as I said, I drew a car. There we go. There's one. There's a car drawing lines. Beautiful. Background. Oh, this is up in the hills where it's all peaceful and quiet and we live in a forest. Anyway, so I did a program and it was all menu driven, so I must have been loading sub programs and whatever. But I did this program that drew a car in the side elevation, end elevation, and plan. So from my technical drawing background, I understood those principles, and you could choose which one and it would draw it. And I think I did a little music program, so depending on which key you pressed, it played a different note. I haven't really looked up how to do that kind of programming yet. That would be in key, and is it the beep or the play statement? I can't remember. Or maybe it's sound. I haven't tried sound. Anyway, that and a drawing program. So that's along the same lines as what I'm doing now, but combining it with the in-key statement. So depending on what key you press will change where it would move the plot point, and it would actually draw a line. That's how I did that. So I want to show you some quick principles. So what I've been playing about with is redrawing that same car. Could you believe? Obviously, I can't remember the exact code I wrote. Of course I can't. But what I've had to do is delve, just like I did back in the day, delve back into the manual, because it's all online now, and just look at those statements, nothing more. Look up those draw statements, those plot statements, get it back in my head how those work, and then go, right, I remember the car that I drew. Let's see if I can redraw it. So that's what I want to quickly show you now. So I'm going to jump into, oops, sorry, not taking you with me. Here we go. Do you want to see what I'm doing? might help. So I'm going to go into +3 basic, and first of all I'll just show you a few principles. Now there's the stuff of changing the side color and the ink color, and I can't even remember. They're in the program I'm about to load, so I'll talk about that when I reload it, but I can't off the top of my head. Like border is the color, and then you got colors 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 I think it is to change the border color. But anyway, that's not really the bit I'm interested in right now. Obviously we've got the bits that we all know, like CLS will clear the screen, which is excuse me, a handy thing to do, and then the plot position. So if I go plot say 50, 50, that's basically plotting 50 pixels in and 50 pixels up. And then I could do a draw, so 30 draw, and just to make it obvious where I'm going, I'm going to go 5, 10, okay, because you'll see immediately the effect of that and it will make sense. So if I go run, okay, so what it's done here is pointlessly pointing at the screen, isn't it? I'm going to bring up a mouse, but obviously in Spectrum you don't have a mouse, but just so you can see what I'm pointing at here, I'll use the Spectaculator mouse. So it's plotted 50 points in, 50 pixels in, 50 pixels up, and then you can see it's gone, well that's weird. I thought I went more, what code did I even just write? I don't need more medicine. Hang on, always program after you've taken your medicine. But basically the first, with the draw statement as well, the first value is the x-axis, which is a long, and the second value is the y-axis. So I must have gone more up. Yeah, I did. I did 10 and 20, didn't I? So it's drawn a line that is basically 10 pixels this way and then 20 pixels this way, which has caused a diagonal like that. Okay, so you can do other things. You can do with that draw line. Oh, it's 5 and 10. Sorry, 5 and 10. Let's make it a bit more pronounced, shall we? So we'll go 10 and 20. A bit easier to see what's going on. If I did, obviously that was going up that way. Well, that way, depending on which way you're looking at me. If I was to put a minus in front of, say, that, then that would switch the direction that it's going. So that's easy enough to understand. And I can also put a third value in on the draw command, which basically gives it a curve. So if I say I want it to go through, let's say 180 degrees, which would be a bit extreme, whilst drawing those plot points, then it's going to really screw up. That's not what I expected it to do. Let's try something different. Let's not go 180 degrees. Let's go like 3 degrees. Maybe that doesn't work quite how I thought it did. There we go. So it goes that way, and if I wanted it to go the other way, well, guess what? I do that. Okay. So, it's a radius. Sorry, it's not degrees. It's a radius. It's a radius. It's not degrees. So it's going to go from that plot point to the next plot point with that added radius. I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Something like that. It's all in the book. Look it up. What I end up doing is exactly what I'm doing here. So I'm going, oh, that's too extreme. Let's try 1, and I'll run it again. And then I'll go, yeah, that's more the kind of curve I was after. So, yeah. So that's essentially it. Plotting moves your point from one place to another. Just to simplify that draw command and just show you a little bit more, if I go, let's say I just want to go along and then I want to go up. If I go draw 10, 0, that's going to go along 10. And then if I go draw 0 and 10, well, that's then going to go up. So that's how I would make, that's how I would make that kind of shape. Okay, and then you've also got, you can do circles, so 50, circle, now what are parameters on this? I can't remember. Is that it? 5, 10, 5. It's expecting 3 parameters. Let me see if I can remember what they are. Oh, that's right, okay. Yeah, this is a bit of a weird one. So what the circle one does is actually, it's a plot command incorporated with a circle draw command. So you saw that, so if I go, to prove my point, if I go 50, 55, it will actually go to where we originally plotted and draw a circle there. See? And it's actually drawing it around that initial point. So it's putting the center point of the circle, it's plotting the center point of the circle, and then it's drawing the circle depending on the size, and I think that's the radius that you're setting there, how many pixels the radii is. So if I go 15, and there we go, the circle is bigger. Oh, look. Now, look, I'm just going to draw you something. So if I go, let's make this second draw. Can you? You can't do. How sad is it? You can't even say anything like. Can you see what it is yet? Because now that's just inappropriate. I'm going to make one of these lines shorter than the other. No. Yes, that will work. That will work. And so 50. So that would be 60. 60. So in theory, what I've just done is I've drawn one line, which is like this, and I've drawn another line, which is going to be shorter. And I've drawn a circle that should hopefully start with those lines in the middle, if I've just done my very quick maths correctly, which is not likely. Yeah, pretty much. I've drawn a clock. Look at that. And it's 11:45. It's not 11:45. But there we go. Yeah, so that's just a quick introduction to the code, and I wanted to show you that before I show you what I'm going to show you next, which is the program I've been working on. So, seriously, so I've got my virtual disk in and I've saved it. So, if I now hit that, that should list the new program, the program that I've just loaded. Okay, now, just to explain what's going on. I'll move the cursor around because it's more realistic. I want to avoid using the mouse. So, at the start here, we are setting the border color. So that's the outside, you know, where when you're loading a Spectrum cassette, the color of that, where the color changes when it's loading. So that's what we call the border. Then the main screen area or the play area is the paper. So setting those both to 0, which is black, and then I'm setting the color of the ink, so the lines that I draw, to 2, which is red. Clearing the screen, which then puts all that into effect instantly. And then I'm plotting. So I'm plotting just like I discussed, drawing some lines as you can see here, drawing some circles as you can see there. Okay, all as I just explained just now. And then, because once you've done some plotting, the last line that you drew isn't necessarily where you want to continue from, so you've got to re-find your place. Now, to be honest, how I do this is sometimes I'll sit there and I'll do the maths. So I'll go, well, if I've plotted 10 pixels up, 50 pixels along, and I've drawn a line 10 pixels up and blah, 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 and now I want to start from the end of that, even though I went off and drew some circles, well, guess what? I've got to do the maths and work out where I am on the screen. Okay. If you're being really good at your planning, you would actually be able to, you know, you'd plot it on graph paper. Maybe that would be a smarter way of doing it as well. Where the stage I'm at now is I'm literally like, I just want to finish this thing. So I just do random, to a point, random plots, and I draw an obvious diagonal line, and I go, all right, that's where it is. And then I go in and tweak the values because it's getting a bit complicated, and I don't want to go from the math from the start. Also, don't look at this as an example of how to code on the Spectrum. This is not good coding. This is just how I used to code when I was younger. It's not an example of how to program on a Spectrum at all. It's not a Spectrum Basic tutorial. It certainly isn't that. Again, it's just an example of how far I got when I was about 15 years old, which is really as far as I got with programming on a Spectrum. It never progressed any further than that. But you can see here, I've written a lot of lines. And some of them I have only just done today. So because obviously there's zeros at the end, I've literally written 46 lines of code. Let's have a look at what all that effort draws, shall we? And I've got a little bit to finish off, which I'll show you how I'm going to do it. So let's go run. There it is, and I'm so sorry to anybody that owns a Testarossa or is a fan of the Testarossa like I am. I am really sorry. This is as good as I did it back in the day when I was 15, and it's as good as I can do it now when I'm nearly 45. So, you know, what can you say? What can you say? So that's as far as I've got. The bits that I've done today, sorry, but here comes back the emulated mouse. So the bits I've done today are doing this side line, which does have a bit of a curve there, not much. Doing the side grill here, which is quite easy to see because there are a set of plot points in the code that all start at the same point. So I'll point out those when we go back to the other screen. And the windscreen and roof line. And again, there is a bit of a curve there. And these window lines here. It's a bit of a lazy drawing, but I think this quite accurately represents the version that I did when I was about 15. It would have been like this. I had one of those posters on my wall with the Testarossa, you know, with the grids on the floor and the air flowing over the top, side on. And I also had a 118, so same scale as these. Excuse me for not having a Testarossa anymore. I don't know what happened to my old one, but same scale as these, 118, and that's what I used to actually, when I, as a muse, if you like, that poster definitely originally, and I've been looking at a version of that online to do the same thing and work out where things are on the car. But also when it came to doing the other parts, the other bits of coding, which I haven't even thought about doing on this yet, is I remember my 118 scale model to do the plan and the end elevation. Now I didn't do the front from memory, I'm pretty sure I just did the back, and of course the reason why you do the back of a Testarossa is because outrun. So yeah, that's that. That's how I did it back in the day, and it's drawing by numbers, which is bizarre. So what I want to do now is I just want to do there's those unique tail lights of the Testarossa, which also kind of have strakes over them. So I want to draw a bit of a line coming down here. I've just noticed the mouse pointer on OBS is not in the same place as it is on my screen. That's quite trippy. So I'm gonna have to look over here. So I'm gonna do a line down here just to represent where the tail lights actually are, and then the strakes that come across there. So that should be fairly simple. So I'm not gonna bore you for long. Now I do remember on the version that I did when I was younger, I also did the spokes, those wonderful star spokes. And I remember when I did them, they looked terrible and I never was able to fix them. So guess what? This version is in motion and you can't see them because stuff it. Too hard. So we're going to do this. We're going to do some coding. So let's scroll down. And just to show you, see there's those plots all in the same, all starting at 130. All starting at 130 and going slightly further up the screen each time. 55, 57, 59, 61, 75. 75? Nope, that's a separate one. That's a completely different one. It's these ones. This one, yeah, these ones. You can see it's like the Matrix. I'm going 75. That wouldn't be in the right place. That's not the lady with the red dress. Anyway, so and then I'm drawing backwards across the screen. So minus 51, and because of that other bit, it's slightly different angle. So minus 52, minus 53, minus 54, and then a bit of a slant to the top too. So that's how I've done those strakes in the side. You can see that kind of happening. So let's have a look then. So if I was plotting at that point at around... Actually, let's look at the last thing I did. So the last thing I did, which was that last line on the back of the windows. Here we go. Again, I know it's not a Testarossa, but it's the same principle. It's every time I get in and drive my one, I keep reminding myself, I know it's not a Testarossa, but it's still awesome. So it's this sort of bit here, this sort of line on the back quarter window that I just drew as the last thing. Actually, it's a line that goes there. That's the last thing I drew. So that's kind of in the right vicinity. So I can work from there and kind of work back with a bit of very rough maths, I think, to work out. Just flicked my nail. I just broke a nail. Right. So that was that. So you can see by the time I got back down here, by the way, I remembered that you could actually, well, because I looked them up actually, to be honest, I can combine a plot and a draw statement. So that kind of saves you a few bytes. Because, you know, I'm worried about bytes on a almost infinite disk that we have these days. So 63, working back from the end of the car. 63, I'm going to plot. Well, it's going to be quite far back because it's nearly, and I know for a fact the back of this car is actually as far back as I can go because I kind of, you'll notice it's a bit stunted at the back. Well, let's face it, there's lots of things wrong with this drawing, but let's forgive it that. It's quite more stunted than how I wanted it at the back of the car because I ran out of screen real estate and I was throwing up integer errors. So, because it goes out of range. So basically our backline is 0. So I want to plot 470. I want to plot, it's going to be about 10. I want to plot 10. Okay, now that line was up near that top line. That was at 78. So I'm going to try plotting about 60 and see where we are. And I'm going to do my usual trick of just drawing a line 20, 20, just to see where it draws it, making an obvious error, if you like. This is a long way round of doing this, by the way. That's why I wasn't in the matrix. I can't see the code. Okay, so see the line? So it's gone up there. So we want to go. Okay, let's work from where we are. We'll go up by 10. We'll go up by 10 first of all, and we'll go back by a little bit. So we'll go up by, so back a little bit is going to be 5. Really? Okay. And we're going to go there. All right, so that 5 is maybe. Oh, why did I go down? Idiot. Idiot. Let's try 80. I didn't mean to go down, I meant to go up. Ooh, okay. Right, so we want to go along a little bit. I should be able to see where I drew that. Where did I draw that little... Am I going to be able to figure it out? Stuff it. We're nearly there. Let's just do this. Okay, 50. Because that little... I could probably find that in the code if I could be bothered. Okay, I'm going to go 70. And that... Which way was I? Too far. Drunk coding. Okay, so we want to go 4. Let's do one thing at a time now. So we're going to go 4 there. I lied, I'm doing 2 things. I'm doing 2 things. I'm doing 2 things. Notice how, compared to Spectrum Basic, where I'm sure there's a better way of doing it, but the only method I remember is to completely rewrite a line. You don't have to do that in Sinclair Basic. You basically can go up to the line, edit it, and then... I swear there's a way of doing that on the BBC Micro, but I can't remember if I ever knew how to do that, and I certainly can't remember how to do it now. So yeah, this is much easier. Okay, so we want to come down by 1 pixel, I'm guessing. Okay, there will be an edit in this one because I had to quickly go and make some dinner, which is a bit unfortunate because I don't like to have to edit, as you know, and the bigger problem is I'm now nearly out of medicine, so that's a real shame. So I've made dinner, I've had dinner, the boys have gone out, and there should be no further interruptions. It's just me and the cats, because the wife is out as well, so that's good. So it's a good time to just get this done while it's in my head as well. Right, so where were we? We were drawing a line in completely the wrong place, but it's getting close. So let's have a look at where we are. We're plotting at 4, so this is obviously too far in, which is odd. Anyway, let's try that at 2. 65 seems right. And now let's just try drawing straight up. I think, there we go. Notice how I don't have to be at the end of the line to press enter and it takes me out. I like that. Right, that's in pretty much the right place. It shows you how thin I've made that last little bit there. It's clearly going up far too far. I'm going to guess 10. Excuse me, might be 5. Might actually be 5. Oh, it's 10. Okay, it's 10. Good. So that's that tail light insert. And now we just want those strakes across the back, which on a real Testarossa, I wish I still had a model to show you, but they hook around at the end, so they would actually go past the end of the light there. I was fortunate enough to drive a Testarossa, by the way, if I do say so myself, and it was owned by a nice dentist guy, and but he bought it off of, did he buy it off Eric Clapton? It used to be owned by Eric Clapton. Anyway, it's a long story. It's a story for another time, maybe. But yeah, feel very fortunate to have done that. And it's because his number plate fell off. It was on a run we were on. We were just in an Alfa Romeo GTV. I say just an Alfa Romeo GTV. That's still a nice car, but not in the same price league, obviously. And his number plate fell off right in front of us, so we picked it up, took it to the lunch meet, and he was incredibly kind after lunch and said, "Would you like to go for a drive?" So he, as we got into the car, he said the words, "I'll get it out of the car park and then you can take over." And I thought, I just misheard something then. And he got it out of the car park and then he stopped the car and he said, "Your turn." I kid you not, I think I cried that day because that was a dream come true. Okay, so, where am I? I'm plotting at 0. I'm plotting at 0 because I want to go right to the left-hand edge of the screen. 0 and not 65 because we want to go 2 up from that, so 67. Some very simple maths, but simple maths is the kind that usually catches me out, especially in front of people, this is the same thing. And I'm pretty sure it's just 5 going that way. Yeah, it must be 5. So we just want to draw 5. No, yes, no, yes. 5 and 0. Now look, I'm going to be bold here, and I'm going to go, then we go 490. Don't do that, or you'll overwrite an existing line of code, and that would be a pain in the ass. 4, 0, and I'm going to plot 69. 69, dudes. Yes, I think we can get away with that. What year was that? I think we can get away with that. Maybe not. When was that out? One of my favourite movies. I'm wondering if it came out during the Spectrum era. Might have been a bit later. Might have been the Amiga days. The shopping mall was complete. Game was open. It was post Amiga even. It was during the Amiga phase, if not into my PC phase. Okay. Draw, but I didn't see it in the cinema. We're Draw Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is, of course, what I'm talking about. Draw, and we're going to go 50 again. And 500. 50 lines of code to draw a shitty side-on view of a Testarossa. And this one will be 71. And I'm not sure how many of these lines we can fit in, so we'll see what it looks like after this. And we'll go 50. So I've drawn 3 strakes. Is there room for 4? There's got to be room for 4. 510, plot, 0. I don't even know if the first one's right, but you can see where I'm going. 73. So the reason why I'm not going up 1 is obviously because I want a pixel gap in between. That's why, just to explain what's going on there. And 50. Okay, let's try that. That's 4 strakes. Let's have a look. Hello, and that's all 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's not like we're just overwriting an existing one. There you go. Side elevation of the Testarossa is done. That's what it looks like. It's not going to get any better than that because That's as good as I'm going to do it, because... So, from here, and I'm not going to record it, but I will actually do the other elevations. And so, I want basically what I want to do over time is I want to essentially complete this demo disc that I gave away with my Spectrum. So I'll only do a video when I'm doing a part relevant. This was more about the draw commands. So when I do different bits, then I'll record that. I won't bore you with the whole development, just like I didn't bore you with the whole development of this piece either. It's quite a lot of work. Can I get it done before we go to the UK to pick up the Amiga? Because that's essentially what I did. I wrote this demo disc before I handed my Amiga over to my brother's friend, and then I went to London to get my Amiga. So it's almost reliving that experience, although the times are a bit out. I might be able to actually complete this in time, because next week is my last week at work before actually my holiday starts, even though it's not when I go to the UK. So I've actually got some time off. It's doable. It's going to be tight, but there we go. So there you go. There's the Testarossa. Last thing I must remember to do is this. Or everything I just did then would be lost. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. I've got to butt these two ends up together now because of the cut in the middle, and then I'm going to upload that today as well, because why the hell not? It's done. And from there, I'd have to draw the other views. Thank you guys for clicking play. If you clicked play, I really do appreciate it, and hopefully that is entertaining the word? Doing some Spectrum Basic, some poor Spectrum Basic? Maybe it is, I don't know. But anyway, it's part of my journey. These are part of my memories. This is what I did back then, and I've explained why I did it. So yeah, overall, perfectly good games to draw a shitty line drawing, using probably about 100 lines of code by the time I was finished. Oh well, there we go. All right, thanks guys. Bye.